to Excentia podcast, chat number 3. We are here to talk about real stories and enhancing lives and transforming communities. I'm Karen Fitzgerald.
I'm Chris Schock.
And we are thrilled to be talking with you today. I think, as I was coming in today and thinking about who we're meeting with, I was just coming from being with family over the weekend,
right.
And the concept of family and how important that is for everyone, and connections with people, and just being around people that you love. And I think today, that's a perfect way for us to talk about the person we're going to be interviewing with. As Rhonda Aldinger has been with us for many years.
She'll tell us that.
And
she'll tell us exactly how many.
How many years.
Yeah.
And not only that, but she encompasses the word family at such a different level.
Rhonda exemplifies the true meaning of that word, and family empowerment, family involvement, and what we do at Excentia Human Services in terms of enmeshing ourselves into the homes of individuals and essentially becoming not just staff or supervisor, but a part of the family in that home.
Yep.
And Rhonda's going to talk to us about that today.
Yeah.
I love Rhonda. She made me feel very, very welcome when I came on board here. Now coming up on 6 years. So, actually, I remember that was like one of the first things she said. She actually was pretty critical of me.
Was she?
Yeah, she was.
We'll have to ask her about
I told her,
that.
you need to be. What? No, yeah. But she said, I was thinking the same thing. Rhonda said, she had been here so long, and she remembered, things have changed as things always do.
Right.
And she told me, she goes, I remembered when everything, everybody here, it was like a big family. And I said, I'm with you. I want to feel that way as well. I think things have definitely changed in the 5 years. Obviously, COVID played a big part in that, but I took her words to heart. Always have. She I have an open door policy, and she's definitely taken advantage of that. So, and it's a good thing because that's the way you learn. Yeah. Right.
Well, so before we bring Rhonda to the screen to tell you all about and to the podcast, let me tell you a little bit about why we wanted Rhonda to join us. Rhonda, as you know, has been with us for a long time, but her compassion and passion, with our individuals. And when I refer to an individual, that's someone who is cared for in one of our 33 homes on a 24/7 basis. And Rhonda is going to explain to all of you how they have been able to, her staff in one of the homes has been able to empower the individuals to live the life that they deserve. So I think without further ado, let's bring Rhonda Aldinger.
And I'm gonna, we said this show is gonna be cutting edge.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm gonna just put this out. I'm just gonna put this out here. We talked the last time in one of the shows, either the first or second show, about terminology in our world.
Yes.
The world of intellectual disabilities and developmental disabilities and human services. Everything's an acronym. There's terminology, and so there's a history there when we say individual.
Yes.
We used to refer to people that we supported as clients, and then that term became individual. And I think even, I think prior to that it was patient, and I think maybe prior to individual it might have been consumer.
Yep.
And I think really, and I think we're going to see an evolution of that as well. I think we should just start here by saying they're people.
Our people. Mm-hmm.
People that live in homes. In homes.
I like it.
That we support.
I
right?
like it. Let's start it.
They're people.
So
I mean, we're all individuals, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. We are. And so
anyway, go ahead, Rhonda. I'm sorry.
Rhonda, welcome.
Good morning.
Good
Morning
morning.
and
Good
welcome.
afternoon.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I feel privileged.
Well, Rhonda, what if you could just tell us a little bit about how long you've been with Excentia Human Services, and through that, what were the jobs that you have? And we might, just ask you to elaborate a little bit more as you go on with each of those positions.
Okay. Well, in August, it'll be 36 years that I've been with the company.
Wow.
So
Congratulations.
yeah, a long time. Well, thank
It's
you.
wonderful.
Thank you. I love it here and I love what I do, or else I probably wouldn't have stayed here for so long and stuck with it. I started out in as part-time residential, worked on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. And I did that for 6 months maybe.
Okay.
And then I went ahead and went into a full-time overnight awake position. And I did that for, I want to say probably about 3 years. And then when I had started, it was Prospectus Associates.
Way back when, PAI.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
And we were in York.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So they were in York, Lancaster, and Reading. Well, they pulled out of York, and I liked the company, so I came along over to Lancaster then.
So you're from York, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I was born and raised in York County. So then I came over to a day program.
Okay.
And I worked in their day program for several years. I can't even tell you how long. And then I went to residential.
So the day program consists of helping our people. They would come to our building back then, and then you would spend time going out with them and do the things that they wish to do. It could be volunteering. It could be a variety of things, right?
Right. Well, when I first started, we didn't go out as volunteering. Yes. Yeah, that's what the goal was. We did not go out volunteering, but we went out. We used to have the like the big vans where you could fit several wheelchairs. So we take out the individuals. There was in our group at the time, I want to say there was 3 staff, and we probably I want to say probably had like 12 individuals.
Okay.
And 6 of them utilized wheelchairs in order to be able to get around. So we used to take walk down through. I can remember going to the York County Fair, walking down through the fairground with 2 individuals in wheelchairs, like pulling and pushing 2 wheelchairs at the same time as you went down through. Yeah. We used to have a lot of fun. We used to do a lot of things. I can remember going to somewhere bowling. The owners asked us not to come back anymore, which was my first time of kind of like deal with not being accepted.
Sure.
So so that was the first time, and that was I want to say probably like that was probably in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I did that myself early on. I worked for a company that did community day programming, social rehabilitation, they called it back then. And that was the way things were done. You had a van, you took multiple people out. The name of the company was on the side of the van, and everybody knew who you were. And we know now that's not the way we do things anymore, which is good. But I do recall, like, there were places that, we'd go to racetracks, we go to, community events, and then, you don't think it too often these days because people are so accepting now.
Yes, it's very different now.
But even back in the late 90s, early 90s, people, you definitely would get some stares, and you'd get, some people that weren't really keen on you being where you were at.
Oh yeah, I remember trying to get a pool pass at a local hotel with someone who utilized a wheelchair, and they said no. And she
Yeah.
wasn't able to have a pool pass.
Yeah.
So it's come a long way.
Well,
Sure.
and you even think about it,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole ADA compliance didn't
Sure.
happen until 1993. So,
Mhm.
you know, that's even that, I mean, now you go to a hotel and there has to be a wheelchair accessibility, there has to be all of that stuff. You go
Mhm.
into a store like Target, you know, everything is wheelchair accessibility.
Mhm.
And the fact that, I mean, because to me, 1993 doesn't seem that long ago. I mean, you know,
Mhm.
I was just graduating from college, and you know, my career had just started, and I remember thinking like, wow, this how have we gotten away with not doing this, and you know, thinking about all those people who have been wheelchair. I mean, we're not even
Mhm.
you know talking about those who have been you know with a developmental need, but someone who comes back from a war, someone who is
Mhm.
just you know over years in a
Mhm.
wheelchair, and that how did we miss that boat so long? So
Mhm.
Well, and I wrote,
Yeah.
I wrote in my message this past Friday. I don't know if you
Mhm.
saw it, but it's, you know, it's Disability Awareness Month,
Mhm.
and
Yes,
a lot of the
I read
folks. Good. Somebody's reading my things now.
I do. I do read them. I read them.
let them
Well,
know.
no,
Let
that's
'em know.
fine. I mean, but it's. I was thinking about, you know, we're going to have you on the show, on the podcast, and I talked in the message about, you know, what was then PAI back in
Right.
dating back to the early '80s.
Mhm.
We're bringing folks home to their communities, say that, to
Mhm.
homes, out of hospitals, out of institutions, out of
Yeah.
resident
Mhm.
treatment facilities, and that was the beginning
Mhm.
of the community in what was then integration. And
Mhm.
now we're inclusion.
So
But
the
Mhm.
term was
those folks
integration.
were in their 20s and 30s,
Sure.
and they've, you know, you know
Mhm.
this, you know, like, so yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, now they're still with us, and we're
Mhm.
still caring and supporting for them, and they've seen a lot. You've seen a
Mhm.
lot of progression. Could
Mhm.
you talk a little bit about that?
Um, how everything's changed over the
Well,
years.
I mean, you
I
know, the folks that you support. I
Right.
mean,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm. Very
how old
much
they
so.
when you started, and
Mhm.
and
Well, yeah, well, the one individual I work with, when I started in day program, I worked with him in day program. At the time, he was living with another provider
Okay.
at the time. So, well, that's what happened. When I went back to residential I was back at residential for a year as a direct support staff for an individual that had just moved from living at home his whole life. And I decided the supervisor position had come open. So I decided to put in for the supervisor position there. So I was there for 11 years. And then I thought I would retire or like partially retire. So I went back to day program. And day program's okay, but I really miss residential. I just enjoy being in residential. I feel like I can offer more supports, and I can have offer more guidance to individuals with for them to decide like what they want to do. You know, it simple things that we take for granted. You know, like where we want to sit or what type of chair we want to sit in. Like we don't even think about that. And sometimes when you're working with people, you make the decisions for them. And you don't realize when somebody's utilizing a wheelchair, is that where they actually want to be sitting in the room? Is that who they want to be sitting beside of? So
mhm.
I kind of feel working residential, I feel like I can offer that more, like I can involve them more in and it's simple choices that we normally don't have. But in 2009 was when Roosevelt opened.
Okay.
So the one individual that I work with, and I worked with day program, he came over from another agency. And
Oh,
yeah, he was with Keystone for 22 years.
okay.
So and then, but he was always in our day program from the time he moved out of Sealings Grove. He was living in Sealings Grove.
Sealands Grove there's a, I don't know if it's still open. It might still be open. A very
Sections
large
of
state
it's
center
Very big,
where
very big.
where people with intellectual
Yep.
and physical disabilities were institutionalized.
Yep.
And
It's right
a lot
near
of people came
Susquehanna
out of
University.
Sealands Grove
Mhm.
and Keystone, as you mentioned. Just for the audience,
Right,
because we have the Keystone Human Services was one of the original, I believe it might have been the first or one of the original
Pennsylvania.
providers in Pennsylvania for group home living.
Mm.
Right. So a lot of folks, when they came out of these institutions, Pennhurst and Sealands Grove and Hamburg and throughout the state, Keystone was, I think, the first provider that started opening up group homes. And actually, PAI Perspectives was one of the first as well.
Right. Right.
We still, to this day, I believe one or two individuals, people that we support came out of the original Pennhurst deinstitutionalization or closing. Actually, they closed Pennhurst through a Supreme Court ruling. Actually, and we still support those people. Does one of those people live in your home?
No,
they don't. Okay.
They live at Allen Road.
Our Allen Road home.
Yeah.
Our homes are named after the streets that they're on. That's how we refer to our homes. I did work when I was supervisor over at Darby Lane. I worked with an individual that came from that lived in Pennhurst. And when they were moving her out, her stepfather tried to stop the move. They did not want their family member to be out in the community. Right. That's what we need to remember. A lot of people looked at these state centers, and this was again how we've evolved. The family members felt that they were safe there, they were being taken care of there, and to some of their, the state center's credit, like there was really good staff that worked there, that was their home for a lot of years, and it was a very scary thing for a family member to kind of wrap their head around the concept of their son or daughter coming out and living in the community, where they've been in a state center from the time they were a kid in some cases.
Oh yes. Her family fought pretty hard for her not to come out. So and she's not the only one. There's quite a few people I'd worked with when they were coming out of the pen, when they were being moved out of Pennhurst. The families did not want them to leave. Because it was stability. Right. They always knew somebody was there. And at that time, nobody really knew what the community homes were going to be like what all was going to be offered in the community, what all, was going to be going on compared to the state, compared to the state centers.
And actually every one of those individual people that came into the community through that ruling, that state Supreme Court ruling, were assigned lifelong advocates. Yes. Legal advocates. Okay. Yeah. So anything that happens, anything that's done within their span of life, that has to be gone through the advocate. The advocate still is with them through the state.
Do we know? So I just want to talk a little bit. Do we know how many individuals or people we have that came from, because with this evolution, that we started with those who came out of the institutions, but now the goal is when somebody is looking for a place to live and wants to live in the community, they come directly to our program, right? They come directly to our organization
or via the county, via the county.
So how many? We've got, I think, about 90. Is it 90 people who live in our homes? Maybe something like that.
I think our census. Is 88.
88.
Oh, 88. I was going to say. I was thinking.
Last week.
Okay. So, and of that, any idea? I'd love to know what that number is. How many are from the institutions, and now how many?
Yeah. Okay.
It's probably really only about 10. to 15. I think most
Yeah.
now are coming through the county
Mhm.
right directly to
from their
the-
family's home,
Yeah.
to live at,
Yeah.
residential.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good. I mean, the state is still in
That flux.
a process of, it's a debate really, in some
Mhm.
regards, where
Mhm.
state centers are located, that they provide jobs for people.
Mhm.
Like, as you mentioned, families are comfortable with them moving out.
Right.
Mhm.
There are, disabilities that, some present themselves as being very challenging to live in the community. So there's,
Mhm.
there's a movement to close the state centers,
Sure.
but there's
Mhm.
also a counter movement to keep them open at some level.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
certainly we, at Excentia, we are here to provide community living. That's what our mission is, for people to live in the community and live their best life in the
Mhm.
community.
Right.
Mhm.
And we've actually just recently, not that long ago, brought some folks out of the Hamburg State Center
Yeah.
to come
Mhm.
About
live in our
3 years
homes, and
ago,
it's
I'd say.
very successful.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And those guys,
Mhm.
people thought, like,
They're so happy.
well, they thought
Mhm.
like coming to live, I don't know if this is going to work, and it's
Mhm.
working.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I said, can you just imagine, they're able to come in and it's their home.
Exactly.
Imagine to never have a house key of your own house. Like,
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
find that, like, that just amazes me. And
Mhm.
just to see somebody's face
Mhm.
when you're handing them the house key to their own home, like, it just says a lot. Like, a lot of times I get all teary-eyed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I
Because
know.
they're so
You and
excited.
I think we were there when they
Yeah.
came in together.
Yeah.
I think we were there when and it was such an excitement for them. The
Mhm.
fact that I remember Anna, one of our
Mhm.
staff, had handed them the key, and they thought to themselves, "What a great!" And you were there, I think.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
actually, PBS did a documentary on us.
Yes.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
did we were part of a documentary.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
actually
Coming
a great,
home.
Yeah, I'll have to collect, find that link. That's actually a great
But
story.
Rhonda,
Yeah.
you're right. Like, you had mentioned earlier about the decision making is a huge part of what, we stand for, and what we
Mhm.
do in the everyday lives, the everyday living
Yep.
of folks in the homes.
Mhm.
Like, maybe you
Mhm.
could talk a little bit about, like, what it looks like. I mean, you, us, we go to painstaking efforts to ensure that when you walk into a home that Excentia, where Excentia supports people, you're walking into a home. It does not look like
Right.
an institution,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Yes,
Tell
oh,
us
very
about
much
it.
so. And it is not, I'm a firm believer, and the staff, that we all work together as a team, that it's their home.
Mhm.
It's not our home. It's not what we want to watch on television. It's what they want to watch on TV. It's not what temperature, something as simple as the temperature in the house
Sure.
is not the temperature of what the staff wants to be.
Yep.
Everything, what they want for breakfast. If one person wants eggs, they have eggs. If one person wants pancakes, they have pancakes. Like it, we try to put the support in place that if they're in their own place, living by themselves, every decision that you make from the time you get up, when you're going to get up, if you're going to get your shower, are you going to brush your teeth before? Are you going to brush your teeth after? It's those are all decisions. What you're going to have for dinner, what you want to buy at the grocery store, what grocery store do you want to go to?
Yeah.
It's everything. And I said, like, you don't realize, I want to say, kind of like how privileged we are,
Mhm.
that we take all those choices
Yeah.
for granted. They come to us like no big deal. When I turned 18 and wanted to vote, it was like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to register and sign up to vote. It was like no big deal. Well, back when, I want to say in 2014,
Mhm.
talking with two individuals that live here, they decided they wanted to vote. So, and they were already in their 50s and 60s,
And
and
they had never voted before.
they had never voted, and they weren't never giving the opportunity, you know. And we were talking, and then I just looked at them and said, is that something that you're interested? Are you really interested in voting? And they were like, yeah. And the one individual was a very strong Republican, and the other individual was a very strong Democrat.
Well, that must have been an interesting year for you.
Yeah.
Well, especially when the phone calls would come. You know how they get with everybody.
Right.
Phone calls would come. The one individual would be like, "Nope, I'm not talking to you."
No, that's awesome.
That's great.
So
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and then the other individual, like when we were walking in to vote, he made the comment to me, "Well, the only way I'm not voting Republican is if there's no Republicans on the tickets."
Oh, that's
So
funny.
but the first time they went to vote, they were so proud.
Mhm.
Like, it was just seeing that in them, you know, they were just so proud that they were going in and that they were voting and they were given that opportunity.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it was just heartwarming. You know, while they were voting, I'm sitting there fighting back the tears
Of course.
because to see that excitement,
Uh-huh.
you know, in someone and that pride
Yeah.
of being able to do that it's
It's amazing. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, like I said, it touches your heart, and it like makes you appreciate. You know, I said after that, I don't ever miss voting.
Right.
You know, like I always make sure that I go vote now because
Yep.
I just took it for granted. You know, it's something that, and
Yeah.
here they waited most of their lives to be able to go and do something as simple as voting.
Yeah, I remember sending that photo and us being so proud. And those are things that you just don't think about.
Yes.
You know, and giving them the opportunity to talk,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to do things and opening up those questions to be able to talk
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah,
me,
like soda. So
Yeah.
even them getting dressed,
Yeah.
you know, picking out their own clothes, what they want to wear. Sometimes, you know, they might need a little bit of redirection when the weather changes. And one of the individuals that I work with has autism. So, so when it starts getting warmer and we start switching over to shorts, and the staff start wearing shorts, sometimes he comes over to like pull at your pants to make them come down further, you know, like pants, and he'll do it for himself or whatever. We'll be like, no, that's not it. It's good to go. It's good to go.
that's funny.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But
Can you
it's
tell
getting
us a
used to
little
that
bit about?
tradition.
Yep, absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about that day in the life? You know, how many staff do you have? You oversee one home
Mm-hmm.
with
Yes.
3 individuals, 3
Correct.
gentlemen.
People.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
right now there's 2.
Gentlemen, right?
Yeah. Right now there's
Yep.
2 gentlemen.
Yep. And you
So-
have your name.
Sadly, we
Mhm.
lost,
Passed away.
passed
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Great guy.
which is,
Yes, very much so.
which we should say, you know, that is something very unique to working in this field.
Well, it's
That
what makes family.
it's a family member.
It's a family
and-
member,
and-
and that's
Very much
and-
so.
that's that whole piece.
Even the whole,
Mhm.
our whole organization feels the loss of that
Loss.
person, because they've lived with us and we've cared
Mhm.
and supported for that person for, in some cases, most of their life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you being somebody that's been with us for 36 years, that's
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Yeah.
we have two
Two
people that are living in the home that you
Mhm.
work, that you supervise now.
Correct. And hopefully, I think there's a gentleman that's going to be moving in soon.
Oh, great.
So
That's correct.
which will be nice because it's kind of hard sometimes being able to have services. I have friends and who have family members,
Mhm.
and they're not able to find services. You know, they're on waiting lists for just to be able to go to a day program,
Mhm.
let alone to be put into a residential home, you know, into residential housing. So, yeah, I think that's a big thing.
It
And I
is.
think everybody should have that chance to be able to live in their own home,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
to have that opportunity. So to be able to grow with that.
Mhm.
And
So it,
yeah, and for the audience, you know, a little bit about that system. You know, you had mentioned a waiting list.
mhm,
You know, this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of funding
Right.
and how you know, tax dollars are allocated
Mhm.
and funding for the Department of Human Services and particularly the
Mhm.
Office of Developmental Programs is where our funding stream comes from. And folks wait on a waiting list for what's called the consolidated waiver. And that essentially is the consolidated waiver for community home, for living in a residential home. And
mhm.
you know, it's not cheap.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
no.
we do our best
Mhm.
at Excentia to provide the most quality staffing and
Mhm.
quality services.
Mhm.
But it's an ongoing issue with people being on
Mhm.
waiting lists and getting people into homes. And then from the provider, what we do is, you know, we're constantly looking for real estate, looking for homes
Yeah.
to open so we can create
Mhm.
bed space and we can, you
Mhm.
know, and that's
Mhm.
what we do.
Yes. Yeah,
So
and finding houses that have the, I want to say the physical capacity
mhm.
Yep.
for individuals is because it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of well, I should just, you know, for Verl and I, when we decide to move, as
Burl,
we're we decide to move.
by the way, your husband, who is also an employee of Excentia Human Services for quite some time. He is our maintenance guy who
Yeah,
is awesome. So
How long
anyway,
has Burl been with us?
about 10 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably about 10 years.
At the same
Mhm.
time as me. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
but anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You
yeah.
mentioned you and Burl.
Yeah. Well, we looked for a rancher.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it was like, oh, you know, as you go on and stuff and going up and down steps and all that. So a lot of times when looking for houses and looking for ranchers, there's not always very many out there.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Oh, we are finding
That's
that we are. Excentia is currently in the market, and the market
Mhm.
is
Not-
very, very active.
yeah.
So.
Oh, I get text messages from realtors saying that they saw our house or were interested in selling.
Yeah.
So it we're getting a lot of we even have them knocking on our door.
Yeah.
Yes, we're interested in selling.
Yeah.
It's like,
Wow.
It took us forever to find it. Why would we sell?
yeah.
So how many staff
Yeah,
do
so
you
it's-
have, Rhonda? How many staff?
Altogether there's 9.
Okay.
Their schedules run the second shift staffing. Their schedules run, they work 8 days and have off 6.
Okay.
And then we also run a third shift, which is a overnight awake shift. And they run 7 days on, 7 days off. So they work from 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning. And then the second shift staff either work from 2:30 to 11 or 12:30 to 11. It depends. And then we have a day person, someone that works during the day. They usually work like, there's always somebody there Monday through Friday during the day.
Okay.
From 8 to 4 or 5. And then on the weekends, we have staff that's 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay.
So those are the guys that have been there a long time. They're
Yeah, that's that's one of those that's very
It's one of the first,
stable,
Yes.
you know, staff. But as you very clearly pointed out, Excentia in our residential homes that we provide services for, we have multiple shifts available, and we advertise those shifts all the time. There's something for everyone. You know, you mentioned overnight awake, which is, you know, great for people that maybe are in college that, you know, they basically they come in and
Mhm.
Sure the folks get to bed, and
Mhm.
you know that kind of period of time where they're kind of they're free to kind of do what they need to do as long as they stay awake.
Mhm.
Stay awake. Do your homework.
I worked that shift in
Yeah, when
my
you
last
were
year
in
of college.
college.
Yeah, I worked at a
Mhm.
home, and I worked the overnight
nice.
awake, and I worked
Did you do that too?
Mhm. Mhm.
the sleepover too,
Yes.
which was an interesting, really
Yeah.
neat shift. You come on around a little before dinner time, and you have dinner with. I had four guys that lived in the home up in Indiana, Pennsylvania, where I worked, and
Mhm.
it was neat. Like that's the best time of day. Like they're home, they're making dinner, they're doing their thing.
Mhm.
We'd go out places, and then they go to bed, and I'd go to bed, and then the overnight awake person would come in, and then they do the cleaning and food prep, and
Yeah.
that was then I'd wake up when they woke up and help them, support them to get dressed and ready in the morning to go to work, and I was done at 9.
Yeah, I mean, both
It
of
was
them
neat.
have
It was
been able
neat.
to be in this field for quite some time, and it's I just listening to both of you and the transition and just the continuing changes, which I think have just been wonderful to see. I know that we sometimes wish they could happen faster, but it's everything is a process, and I think that we've been able to say, especially this year, over the last year, what can Excentia do to help in a way to increase our housing, to increase, the opportunities for people to live, the life that they want to live, and we're really expanding on that.
In their own community.
Yeah,
That's a huge thing too.
it is.
The
Living in a different state.
The county who provides us referrals for folks, and we talk to them frequently. They're what they want to do is when a family comes forward and says, I'd like to find a residential home in the community for my son or daughter. They want to live in the same community that are relatively close to like where they grew up.
Of course.
And the county finds themselves looking on the other side of the state, looking for providers, because again the capacity, and it's a thing, and I think Excentia is doing an incredible job of doing just that.
I would agree.
Yeah. Well, and to Rhonda is one of those, I don't want to say rare, but a staff person that you mentioned change care and the evolving systems and changes, which we've been talking about, to Rhonda's credit, and other staff that have been here for a long tenure, you have evolved with the system. Like you didn't stay in that mindset of 1993 where you were getting on the van and you've seen the changes, adapted to the changes. You weren't holding on to the past. You've kind of understood that. There's some people that throughout the years in your career that just couldn't get their head wrapped around that type of change. And if you can't evolve and adapt and change in this world.
Yeah. And I say, and sometimes you meet people and they have a good heart and they have good intentions, but sometimes they don't always realize that they might be holding somebody back. Like if somebody might take 5 minutes to put their coat on, that's okay. Let them take that 5 minutes to put their coat on. I said, sometimes it might take me 3 minutes to tie my shoe. That doesn't mean that somebody has to run over and tie my shoe for me. Have enough respect for that person.
Sure, yeah.
Because everybody has an identity. And I feel kind of like if you take away what all they can do, you're taking away part of their identity and their self-worth,
Sure.
So it's very important to me that like when we work at the house and things, that the individuals are being able to do what all they want to do, because it builds their self-confidence, and I believe it just makes them a better person.
I think it makes everyone in your house a better person, which is just wonderful too. I think if there was a myth or something about your own job that you would like to just say that is not true, or that you want to tell people that are listening to us, what would that be?
Mhm. Well, probably, I think probably the biggest thing, and you might find this a little, but is that we're not a nursing home.
Yep. No, that's a great one.
That and I get
Well, we don't,
frustrated at
I
times.
mean, we have 2 nurses. They don't live in the homes. They're there if needed.
Right,
but-
for medical care,
Right.
correct. But they don't,
Right.
yeah, like sometimes when you meet people and they first come in, they look at it kind of like a nursing home, like, okay, you need to go in and this is what all you have to do. And it's, I want to say that it's more hands-on.
Right.
And it's less, more choices are taken away.
Right.
And the person's making those choices. So, and then usually I just, usually we'll just sit and have a conversation, about this isn't what we're here for.
Oh, I think it's wonderful.
We're here
I know, Rhonda, you've done
Yeah.
training, and you have some, all of our staff, our direct support professionals need to take a certain amount of training to be able to do that. And I think one of the things I value so much in meeting you and knowing you over the last 10 years is that kindness that you share with everyone, and knowing that not making judgment before knowing someone. And I think that that's a beautiful gift that you give to others, that
thank you.
yeah, and I thank you for that. And we have,
Thank you.
unless you have one more question, I'm going to ask the final question of the day.
Well, I mean, probably that's a Pandora's box. I was going to ask you how you're feeling after this past year. We're coming on. Seems like we're coming out on the other side now, finally. Of COVID,
very much so.
How you, as we like to say, didn't weather the storm, but we danced in the rain.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
how are you feeling right now? Like compared to like what you're feeling like last April?
Last year.
Oh, it's completely different. Very grateful for one.
Okay.
So and I worried about, Beryl and I would have conversations. I worry more about, the guys at the house. I'm worried more so with them during the COVID and all the changes that they had to go through. They weren't able to see their family. And then when they were allowed visits, the family were basically outside, or they came and stood out on the sidewalk and waved through the door, at the guys and stuff, and it just, it was rough.
Yeah, it was.
It was rough. But the guys at Roosevelt were fabulous. Like, they did so well. With through everything. And you could tell at times like it was a little tough.
Sure.
With the changes and not being able to go to church, not being able to go out in the community. A simple thing is going to the store. You could tell it was a little rough for them. So but now they're able to go with their families, they're able to spend time
Thank goodness.
with their families, and that makes a big difference. And it was hard on the families. It was very hard on the families.
Yep.
And I mean, and to our own horn, and to your credit as well as a staff, I mean, as hard as those protocols were to put in place, the non-visitation and the mask wearing and the continual cleaning and all the things that went on, PPE equipment that went along with, we had a few people that we supported and staff, unfortunately, come down with COVID. They all thankfully recovered, but no one has passed away of COVID.
Yeah, I said yes.
We're
Thankfully.
As far as staff is concerned, we get a daily update on people that were exposed or have to go in quarantine. At one point, that was 0.
Yeah.
Now I think we have one person on
0
there.
for 2 days. It was
Yeah, but I mean, that list for a while was 20, 20 staff. I mean, it was, so we're feeling good. We have a lot of folks vaccinated. particular, the vast majority of the folks in our residential homes that we support are vaccinated.
Yes.
Most of the staff are.
Yes.
So
Which is
we're
a blessing.
thankful to you and everyone.
Yeah, we really are.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We
Yeah.
appreciate you
Yeah.
and everyone and the
Oh,
work
thank
that
you.
you do.
Yeah.
We have one last question
Appreciate
for
the
you.
support.
Thank you. Our last question to you, Rhonda, is, and this is something that comes out of the whole idea that we are all unique in our own way.
Mhm.
That
You're not
if-
going to ask me what kind of
I
animal
am.
I'm gonna be.
I am. I know. And I'm going to make Chris is going to
Well,
have to
there's-
assess this today. It could be
Okay.
land, sea,
Oh.
or air.
Yeah.
What would be the animal and why?
There's a lot of different animals I would be.
You'd be the
Thinking
jungle.
one
the
is
jungle.
so hard. It's a probably I'd say probably a dog. So
Oh.
because I feel like they're loyal, they're supportive. They're usually up on the upside most of the time. And they accept everyone. They accept everyone for how they're treated. So yeah. So and the other one would be a brontosaurus.
Brontosaurus.
It's such a gentle giant.
Really, actually, you're right. Yes.
And they're such a gentle giant, and they're very they were always in pods.
Mhm,
So which tells me that family was very important to them.
mhm.
So yeah.
I like that.
Cool.
Yeah. And the other one is a cockroach because they live forever.
Yeah, as long as you don't get stepped on.
See, these are the things like,
They've gone through everything. They survived it all.
They'll eat it all. They'll eat.
keeps asking this question, and I
I
think I'm still gonna hang.
You're not telling us.
I get into the whole like pros and cons, and those are the kind of things like, oh well, this
But
animal
it's
lives a
this.
very long time. A turtle lives 100
Right.
years, or whereas a dog 7 years. You
know,
got about a
it's
12, 13 year lifespan.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I know.
I'm still deciding.
All right.
I'm still
all right.
deciding.
We'll have to
We'll-
pick
we'll
a
let
sea
you know.
turtle.
Yeah,
That's
well that
what we
was
talked
that.
about.
Yeah, well, I'm giving something away.
I know.
so.
He's given. He's.
I'll just tell you, I'm in. I got a. It's down to a dolphin,
Uh-huh.
a sea turtle,
What's
Mhm.
the other one?
a
A
hawk,
hawk. That's right.
and
Mm.
I'm toying around with the dog thing.
Are you? Well,
Yeah.
the dog is actually a
Because
beautiful.
I have dogs and I
Oh,
love
yeah.
my dogs.
Oh
Mhm.
I
Some
love
days
it.
I really just wish I was one of them and I could just hang out with them all day.
I just sleep all day and be happy when you get home. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, Rhonda, we thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being with us today.
Oh,
and
well, thank you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you very
and,
much.
I know we'll see you again. But have a wonderful evening and
Oh,
hi to Pearl
you
for
too.
us.
And thank you for
I
all
will,
you
sure
do.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. And thank you. Thank you for your support.
Yeah.
We love you. Take care.
Don't hesitate to keep criticizing me.
She will. She will.
I'm not that bad of a criticizer.
Nah, you're great. You're great. No, listen,
I call
like
it
a-
suggestions.
you're like a wise sage.
Yeah. I said, well, I just call
Notice
it
I didn't say wise
suggestions.
old sage. I just said
Yeah,
wise
thank
sage.
you very
She
much.
says
Yeah, well, that's what I
suggestions.
said when I thought when you were asking, I guess at the end of the one of the podcast, you were saying about you wonder who was here longer.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was going to say, well, Verl looks like he's been here longer than I have. But
Whoa. Yeah.
Yep. And, mind you, you both have the same birthday, right? The same
we're a day apart.
Oh, you're
a day
damn.
apart.
He's the 28th.
January
I'm the
28th, 29th.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
wrong. I thought you guys both had the
Yeah.
same birthday. But
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
I was there for a while. I'm going to get back into it, but writing birthday cards for
Oh, yeah.
all the staff. And I just
Oh.
always
Mhm.
remember,
Mhm.
they're in alphabetical
I
order.
think that means a lot to,
Yeah.
that means a lot for somebody to just take that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To say to somebody like happy, like to say
Yeah.
that, to say happy birthday. It, yeah, even if they do put on there, help me, Rhonda, help me, Rhonda, help me, Rhonda. It,
Yep.
yeah.
I love
I looked at Bro, I started laughing. I looked at Bro and I said, oh, like I haven't seen this before.
Yeah. I wrote that in the book.
I can see it. Who's Rhonda?
So we sing it to me all the time.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
So,
Well,
Okey
thank
doke.
you, Rhonda.
Thank you. You
Take
guys
care.
have a good day.
You
All right,
too.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Another successful show
It was a
in
successful.
the can, as they say.
I'll tell you, I every time I talk with her, first I learned so much about her, and you know, there's something about Rhonda that just will always be a special place in my heart, because she gets it. And what I love is that she then when she sees other people, she explains and teaches them.
Yep.
And I love that about
Yeah,
her. So
me too.
36 years.
I tell you,
What a lady.
and like, you know, like I said, it's a special person,
Yeah.
because I did that job
Yeah.
for a year,
Mhm.
and you know, and worked in day programming and day treatment, and it can be tough.
Yeah.
It can be tough. You know,
But I
it's
think that's why you're back here.
but she
I
makes
think you
it
get that.
she
Yeah.
makes it seem
So,
effortless.
I know.
You know,
That's the type
it's
of
really
person.
she embodies like what the organization, what the system is supposed to look
Yeah.
like. You know,
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
Well, and as we said, you know, she was a direct support professional. That's someone that works directly with an individual or people in our homes or through the day programs. But she also now is a supervisor and oversees a home, and has been doing that for quite some time. So I think, you know, other than that, what do we say?
that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Have a great one, everyone.
Have a great one.
Bye-bye.